Hi, this is David Silverman, and I survived the apocalypse. Again.
Hey, fellow survivor of the apocalypse. This is Paul Sating, creator of Atheist Apocalypse. We here at the show wanted to take a moment to thank you for your listenership and for the support of our newest patrons, Brian, Robert, PM, Elsa, and Stephanie. All of you will be receiving your early episodes and exclusive content like the Secret Insider newsletter of the Tri-Counties, where you'll get a little peek at what goes on behind the scenes with the writing staff and some exclusive storylines involving some of your favorite characters from the show that you'll never hear in the podcast. If you aren't a patron of the show, you can support this fictional world with real-world currency. And all you have to do is head over to atheistapocalypse.com, click on the Episodes tab, and you'll find links to either Patreon or PayPal. We appreciate any support of the show, and we want to thank you for your listenership and support of this project.
Welcome to Atheist Apocalypse, a fictional comedy podcast for a reason. All of the characters you are about to meet are fictional and do not represent real people, except when they do. Either way, we welcome you to the show and would like to encourage you to head over to atheistapocalypse.com for more information about the show, as well as details on how you can contribute to help keep the lights on. After all, this is the apocalypse, and we could definitely use all the help we can get. Thank you!
Welcome, listeners of the Tri-Counties. Once again, thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Jake Leminstein, and partnering this crazy ship that we call a newsroom is Ms. Beatrice Johnson. How are you this evening, Beatrice?
I am fine, Jake. Thank you. Encouraging that we get to be here again. Whatever Tyler is doing behind the scenes to consistently keep us on the air, I hope he keeps doing it. Not only a charming young technical genius, but also a creative problem solver and go-getter. Thank you again, Tyler.
As you were, Tyler. She didn't mean to lead you on.
What in the world would make you say that, Jake? Are you implying that I was seducing Tyler? Possibly being inappropriate? Harassing, maybe? Even, I don't know, creating a hostile work environment?
No, absolutely not, Beatrice. Why would you think that? I was only going... Jesus.
It's fine, Jake. We don't need to go bringing up the Lord and Savior of 3 billion people into this. If he could be bothered to intervene on man's behalf, I'm sure he'd find something more important to get involved with. You know, like finally getting around to giving us the answer to how to solve childhood cancer than he would be about my actions. Back to the news, though, shall we? The good news is Europe is showing signs of rebalancing, if you will.
Reports are in saying that the British, Italian, and, of course, the Germans, having diplomatically failed over the controversy that has seen France grow a 4 million man army in response to these disappearances, have taken steps to keep, and I quote, the status quo of diplomacy and humanity and rationality in their natural state, end quote. Foreign sources were unclear exactly what that meant, especially the Catholics, until squadrons of panzers were crushing all the vegetation in the respective German countryside. England, ever the aggressor, actually closed their soccer ball league and deconstructed the 100-plus professional stadiums around the country, using the recaptured metal and glass to construct the New World's newest, yet antiquated, multi-departmental flying squadron. It appears the English, at least, unlike the French and the Germans, seem to understand there is a body of water between friend and foe.
closer to home, Netflix still has not come back up, making this the longest time since the early 21st century that millions across the country have been without streaming television and movie service. There is no way to anticipate all of the fallout from this tragic situation for those who choose to spend the precious little time they have left on this planet in front of their televisions, but I'm sure we'll find out what that looks like soon enough. I imagine this means we'll actually start seeing an increase in productivity across various industries, and maybe we'll even see a revival in the arts, now that the guarantee of copious amounts of mind-numbing entertainment at our fingertips no longer exists.
There's still YouTube, Beatrice. There's still YouTube. In other news, last broadcast we warned you to stay inside due to roving gangs of dogs across the Tri-Counties who were attempting to establish privilege over each other in one of the more disgusting outward examples of breedism ever seen in any species. Thankfully, it appears things have died down now, but I wouldn't get too comfortable, listeners. These things have a tendency to flare up over and over again, with little warning and without any true resolution.
Tonight, we are bringing you some breakthrough news. Thanks to my investigative skills, we here at KUSA 9 News at 9 have an exclusive you literally will not hear anywhere else. Because most news agencies actually invest their time reporting the actual news. But we can break open that shell of secrecy now. As you know, we still don't have any answers to the disappearances of millions of people around the world, or, more importantly, the tens of thousands of Tri-County residents, station management says. You also know that during each of our broadcasts since the disappearances, we have been interrupted by a mysterious beeping noise.
One that Tyler still can't identify or block.
At least he's trying, Jake, which is more than I can say about your efforts to uncover the mystery. Anyways, apologies, listeners. Tyler has gained some insight into the mysterious beeping noises we've been hearing throughout our broadcast. Before we release details, we still must confirm the validity of his discovery, but Tyler is such an insightful, young, gorgeous man, I'm sure what he has found is legitimate.
Listeners, bear with us for a moment, please.
Still alive, FK.
Huh? Oh, yes. I believe what Beatrice is trying to say is that Tyler believes he has sourced the location of the mysterious beeping interruptions we've experienced each and every broadcast since the disappearances. Now, we're not, I repeat, not confirming this location until we're confident that Tyler hasn't contorted this possible discovery into something it's not. Like the time he claimed to have found the source of the smell coming from the toilets, only to lead this station's investigative team into an embarrassing confrontation with the shop owners in the Chinatown section of Lansdowne. If we can get reliable information, we'll be sure to come back to this story. In the meantime, we need to turn our attention to agriculture, the long-time foundation upon which this wonderful Christian nation was founded, after we removed those pesky early settlers from our God-given land.
That's not entirely true, Jake, but it was, at least, atrocious and inaccurate. What is true, at least as far as we can currently determine from our sources and independent reports, is that the world's leading agricultural producing country, the United States, is experiencing disturbing trends that have people asking, can we survive? As disturbing as it may be, the facts are the facts, and agriculture in the United States isn't what it used to be before the disappearances. Though it has only been a relatively short time, the numbers are frightening. Top yielding crop reports show a significant decrease in production. Exports are drastically down. And one couldn't be faulted for wondering whether or not the United States is actually food secure, meaning that we're producing enough food to feed our own population. That's
great, Beatrice. Food reports are probably important, for geeks, But for the rest of us concerned with pressing matters facing us, let's shift gears to something that has real impact on all of us, each day. And then that would be the weather. Over to you guys, Max and Andy.
Evening, sheeple. We've been having a dry spell, and it's going to continue into next week, so get ready for high temps and dryness. Stay hydrated. Lemon water will increase your blood oxidation, which certain things I've been asked to, quote, lay off of are repelled by. Oxidized blood might be harder to, say, run experiments on. How have we been staying hydrated, Max?
Non-GMO, organic, gluten-free cucumbers. They're real popular in town right now. And just one taste will tell you why. They're just delicious. I can't put my finger on what it is. How it's different from other cucumbers. We grabbed a bucket of them. They got like a slightly sticky film on them, probably because they're organic, but you're going to want to not wash that.
Let me guess. The fluoride in the water interacts with the organic coating and ruins the flavor. Must be coincidence.
Bingo, brother. Cucumbers are very hydrating, especially in a nice glass of ice water. It's quite refreshing. The only problem is, you can't really dehydrate them. It would be nice to have some in the bunker. In a recap, the Polynesian Yeti we were worried about during the Hawaiian lightning storms are doing okay. There have been a few sightings since, which seems to be the normal rate at which they show themselves.
As long as we are on international weather, Argentina has had a lot of snowfall this summer, but still we are being literally forced to believe that global warming is real. Man-made global warming. We can't even land on the moon, but somehow we've managed to alter the weather of an entire planet. Sure, whatever. Back to you in the studio.
That's some reporting now, wouldn't you say, Beatrice?
Max and Andy are great, yes. But Jake, we really need to get back to this issue regarding the concerning trends in domestic food production. We could be seeing the early signs of a national emergency. Not wanting to recognize this, not wanting to address this would be...
saving us from having to listen to more news about the wheat and corn yields. Yawn. Am I right? Am I right? Thankfully, we must break away for our overseas segment with Kelly Muttersey, the guy. He has a penis. That means he's a man. Now, I just want to be clear after some of the controversies that arose from the past broadcast. So, over to you, Kelly.
Hello listeners, it's me, Kelly Muttersey. Welcome to Enter the Swag Man. I'm kicking back here in sunny Indonesia where I've parked my blimp. I'm kicking back by the pool and I've just cracked myself open a nice cold bintang. 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 I've got my bintang singlet on. I'm wearing some bintang thongs. Don't be confused, American listeners. I'm not talking about the sort of underwear that rides up your crack. No, I'm talking about the sorts of thongs you put on your feet so you don't get any glass in the soles of your feet. Yeah, that's right. And it's good. Yeah, it's good. Alright, so what's going on? I've been cruising the internet and it looks like there's some food shortages in America. Shouldn't be a problem for 6 to 8 months. You know what I'm talking about, yo, Bezos. Anyway, I'm sitting here in this lovely vat full of guacamole because it's so cheap over here, just so plentiful. My skin feels amazing. I feel like $1 million, which, by the way, I have because the Indonesian dollar is actually really, really low. And, so that's what's going on for me. Anyway, I know what you're thinking. Indonesia, isn't that a bit, considering they executed the Bali 9? Now let me talk about human rights and execution for a second, right? Now, those guys shouldn't have happened, right? It's the modern world, right? We shouldn't be killing people. That's just how it is, okay? That's bloody wrong. If you're going to execute someone, you're a bloody dickhead. That's right? But I want to talk about drugs rights, because you know what happened after they executed those drug smugglers? smugglers, they burned those drugs. Those drugs have rights too. When that little poppy was growing up in that field, all he wanted to do was to be refined into a sweet, sticky tar that'd take someone right the way to heaven. But no, he ended up getting burned in an Indonesian incinerator, and I reckon that is the true tragedy. So I'm going to crack open another bintang, I'm going to slather some of this guacamole on my face, and I'm going to have a little nap. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Kelly.
This portion of the program was brought to you by God. Do you feel empty? Lost? Alone? Does your Xbox not work like it used to? Have you ever bought a bag of groceries and realized you were only charged for one of the 2 Snickers bars you bought? That's God saying you're welcome. Always there, always watching, always recording. God. Deadly reliable for 6,000 years.
Now again, I cannot believe I've got to mention this again, but I'd like to return to our breaking investigative discovery about the state of agriculture in the Americas. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and the UN's Food and Agricultural Organization have both recently released press releases stating their concerns regarding the severe reduction in output in America. They did not, however, attribute this worrying report to anything specific, but I have my suspicions about what is behind the problem. I'm just not sure the listeners at KUSA 9 News at 9 are ready to hear what that is.
Well, thankfully, we have a local celebrity, business insider, and downright insightful citizen in the studio with us today to give us some sort of man-on-the-street perspective regarding what you think you found, Beatrice.
We do? Why would we?
So I'd like to welcome into the studio Miss Nellie Negapositive, owner of Bittersweets Candy Store and the sitting president of our Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Miss Negapositive. How nice to actually have you in the studios today.
Thank you for having me again today, Jake. It's nice to be here.
Well, Miss Negapositive, you've heard what Beatrice has had to say about the results of her investigation. Now, some of us may say she's fallen into the stereotypical trap of mastering hyperbole, something we here at KUSA 9 News at 9 do not endorse, like many of our competitors in the media.
Oh, I wasn't getting that from her at all. I thought her report was profound and incredibly interesting and poignant.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Miss Negapositive. Though I'm not really sure why we've invited you into the studio, I appreciate your comments.
Well, it's my pleasure, Beatrice. You see, as a business owner and a thought leader in the community, I have been worried about this industry, well, even long before the disappearances. The business model is simply broken and has been ripe for a revolution for generations.
Are you implying that a revolution is the cause for the decreased food output across the country that will lead to the starvation of millions? How frightening.
That's not what she said, Jake.
I think there are very interesting consistencies in the farming industry. If one were to take the time to observe, without bias. These consistencies, which are very obvious in my humble opinion, have indicated for ages that endemic problems existed in farming, yet, curiously, no one was willing to take action to address the problems or even talk about them. It's not very surprising that we've seen a drastic decrease in food production since the disappearances. I'm actually more surprised by the reactions we're seeing that people are surprised. How did no one see that coming?
You are a true visionary, Miss Negapositive.
What I was able to uncover was that there are multiple possible contributing factors to this problem. Reductionism isn't the friend of the investigative journalist, I've always said.
Well, yes, nothing complex can be explained by unsophisticated claims.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly. One of the more unnerving elements is...
Futures!
Well, Jake, agricultural futures aren't necessarily one of the leading contributors to what we're seeing, but more of an indicator of what may come.
Guacamole futures.
I I don't understand your fixation with guacamole.
Have you ever had it consumed from your flesh, Beatrice? If you had, you would understand exactly why guacamole is so inspiring. It's all about how you frame it, really.
No, this has nothing to do with futures or guacamole. It has to do with...
Arthur Fitzpatrick.
What? No, Jake, it's...
11 after the hour, Beatrice, which means it's time for sports. Our listeners have discriminating tastes, which demand only the best and most consistent reporting across the Tri-County.
But we were in the middle of reporting a potentially life-threatening situations for residents of the Tri-Counties.
Beatrice. When will you learn that being part of the media isn't about delivering the news that people need to hear, but the news that people want to hear? However, before you go, Ms. Negapositive, can you update listeners on what's new with you? After our first interview with you, the listeners of KUSA 9 News at 9 fell head over heels in love with you. Your charisma, your intelligence, and your candid innuendo seem to have enraptured our audience. You have many new friends who are interested in everything you do. What do you have for them?
Well, Jake, I'm proud to announce a new venture I've started since we've last talked. I've seen how the community is hurting from these disappearances. Men have lost wives. Women have lost their husbands. Lovers are alone and in great need. I wanted to be able to fill that void. So I started a new venture that has really taken off.
Really? What is it?
A cucumber patch.
I'm sorry, a cucumber patch?
I thought it was silly at the beginning, too. I started out with just a few hundred square yards of one of my properties. Me and the girls from the shop.
Bittersweet.
You're so sweet, Jake. Yes, bitter sweets. Well, we conducted some experiments with the initial crop to, get the right texture and firmness. Those early experiments were successful, but we wanted to ensure we had the right product before we sold them to the public. After some long, exhausting experiments, we were sure we had what everyone wanted, so we went public. I'm proud to announce that I've even launched a new LLC to support the effort. It's called Nellie's Nibblers. And so far, we've raised over $3 million to support the Tri-Counties area.
Well, that's fantastic.
$3 million from cucumbers.
Not just any cucumbers, Beatrice. Each and every cucumber is personally tested by me or one of my girls. They're a big hit with a target demographic of the newly lonely residents of the Tri-Counties.
I'll bet they are.
Well, I'm thrilled for you and the good work you're doing for the Tri-Counties, Miss Negapositive. Once again, it was an absolute pleasure having you. Now, before we get too far behind, let's get over to sports. Off to you, Artie.
Huzzah there, sports fans. I stumbled upon some sort of ancient battle. I've talked to one of the combatants briefly, and from what I could make out through the heavy breathing he was doing, this is some sort of LARPer colony? I'm not sure if they're contagious or what, so I'm keeping my distance, but I'm glad they found the spirit to enjoy what's left of their lives in gladiatorial combat. Some of them are in blackface, which I find appalling. Also, what do long ear prosthetics have to do with being blackface? Black people don't have long ears. They have... Anyway, let's watch. Okay. Right now, a bunch of people are milling around the center of the field in armor with really big, thick weapons. I think they're foam or something. There's another group pretty close to me who have smoked an entire bag of cigarettes each just since I got here. Gross. I hope leprosy isn't contagious through smokes. Wait, something's happening. A bunch of people with squeaky voices dressed in green are coming out of the woods near me.
To tell your friends to subscribe and listen.
The people milling around are starting to form a line. Maybe they're going to play Red Rover. Exciting. Oh, the green people are running towards the racists with their weapons in the air. They're clashing it. Oh, no, wait. They've stopped just before reaching the line. Oh, okay, but they're fighting now. Everyone's just yelling numbers and hitting each other. It's chaos out there. This is intense. Someone just yelled, hold, and everyone dropped to their knees. What is this wizardry? I think someone got hit in the cojones. I can relate. Okay, everyone's back up now. Some of the lazier people are just standing back, throwing little pieces of garbage at the green guys. Well, I saw some giant turkey legs when I came in, so it's time to grab one and see if they want me to sub in and play. If I catch larpathy, I'll just go see my homeopath. He'll write me a subscription. Back to ye, Jake.
Shifting gears before Beatrice tries to tell us about the importance of soybean yields, let's take you to our man among men, Rick Beckley, our field reporter in, well, you know, the field.
Rick Beckley reporting here in the middle of what once was Sheldon Farms. As you can see, or hear, stupid Sarah, I thought you were going to catch me at that one again. Look, he's laughing now.
Rick, 1, we're broadcasting live, so can you focus, please? And 2, congratulations, even you are teachable.
Thanks. Anyways, times are changing here at Sheldon Farms. For years, it has been known as the pristine example of agricultural management around the Tri-Counties. But looking at it today, it tells a different, strange, even unnerving story. The grass is long, and the crops are not being watched. As many people have discovered lately, the price of guacamole has gone up.
Guacamole.
Guacamole? It's not even a word, Sarah.
Yes, it is. And apparently the price is skyrocketing.
Wait, if you're talking about guacamole, isn't that an Italian dish? So what are we doing here in the middle of a farm?
It's not Italian. Never mind. Apparently a lot of our farmers are gone. That's why we're here.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to my attention that our farmers are gone. Where did they go? What are they doing now? Do they have any other skills to fall back on, or has the educational industry's bias of universities over trade schools completely abandoned millions, leaving them unprepared for alternative career options? Only time will tell. I can tell you, however, that this reporter is optimistic that our farmers are okay and doing well. Probably on Wall Street or something.
Idiot.
This is Rick Beckley, KUSA 9 News at 9, saving the world, one story at a time.
Jesus. Thank you, Rick. Now, to conclude the report of my findings...
After we get to this important breaking news. Tyler has just passed a second note to me, just like the one we received during the last broadcast. The same type of 8x11 college ruled paper. The same eerie, newspaper-clipped letters, arranged to communicate an ominous message while protecting anonymity. The letter says, "You were warned about continuing to provide the maleficent Jake Lemingstein a voice. KUSA 9 News at Night. I tried to play nice, but no more. We'll see how you coop without Jake when the sun rises again." Again, listeners, for the second week in a row, I have been threatened. Thankfully, station management has supported me through this trying time and has given me the chance to respond following this latest threat. So here's what I have to say. Listen, you coward. You don't threaten Jake Lemingstein. Not now, not today, not ever. What kind of man would I be if I were to cower to your veiled threats? How would the community of the Tri-Counties continue to hold me in honorary standing if I capitulated to you and your ill-defined objectives. What kind of world would it be if each time a terrorist made a demand, the leaders of the world bent to the knee to satisfy them? I say no. I will not capitulate. I will not bend. You will be defeated and made to pay if you dare show yourself around these studios. For without freedom, what sort of world would we have? I would like to thank station management for their support in confronting this person. Sheriff Roger Rogers has said they have little to go on and aren't really sure where to begin, especially since he only has a handful of actual deputies, even after the recent volunteer drive, which resulted in none of the big complainers in the community coming forward to actually step into the role of a law enforcement officer. He has asked to keep an eye on this mysteriously good-looking young man who keeps hanging around the studio, though. He's here again today. I don't know why, and I don't know who he is. He's staring straight at me. I've got the chills. Did you get the source, Tyler? What? Of course. Should I have expected anything less? What's that? A press release? I need to read it now? Listeners, Tyler has just passed a news release to me claiming that I must, quote, read it now or else, says the news release, quote. And I'm not sure how reliable this information is, but as Tyler's put me on the spot, with a live mic and millions upon millions tuning in from around the world, I've got little choice but to convey the message in its unadulterated state. Ladies and gentlemen, the news release I hold in my hand states, and I quote, "In a changed world, the people are ready for a new leader, for courage, for sanity, and sanctity. The time is now for that change, real change, and our candidate will deliver. You can count on that." This message was sponsored by the mysterious government entity. You can find more information on the online place where we posted it, says the statement.
I don't know if we should have read that. That was eerie.
I didn't have much choice, Beatrice. I had to read it. I wanted to read it.
Though I'd like to explore that with you, Jake, I think we need to wrap up our report on the growing crop problem in America's heartland. The reason for the reduction in production isn't because of any cataclysmic natural event that decimated our farmlands, like some would like you to believe. No, the reason America and the Tri-Counties has fallen from its perch as the world's leading agricultural nation is because of farmers. They're simply not here any longer. More than any other demographic, yes, even edging out federal employees and military personnel, the numbers indicate that America's farmers are the ones targeted in whatever caused these mass disappearances. And no farmers means no food. America is on the brink of collapse. I will close this with one piece of critical information. I discovered...
You need to tell your friends to subscribe and listen.
Mr. Pop.
Hello, my lovelies. There are still strange goings-on in Warbler Mountain, and from what I can gather, with our friends down in the Tri-Counties as well. I'll get into that in a moment. But first, let's answer some questions from the comments left in my last blog. Yawning Yodi. Yes, definitely send him to that work camp. Learning to work with his hands will ensure he's not doing other things with them. Sexy Pterodactyl 69. That's not a good place to put the sage, dear. You have to light it on fire, and it's not going to be pretty if you put it in there. Pat R700. I don't think vegetables can do that. You might want to consider an alternative theory. Well, my lovelies, the gangs of chihuahuas have stopped coming to the building, thankfully. Mr. Ashbum is very happy about that too. He'd gone through at least 6 pairs of socks just from all the ankle biting. Archer kept asking them who sent them to recruit him, but couldn't get more than indecipherable growling. He said they were shielding themselves from his probes. Stubborn little things they are. I finally found a driver this week, a fellow named Gary, a very odd fellow. He's got wild eyes, a short mop of grey blonde hair, a strange crooked smile, and enormous teeth. He said he was really an actor, and just between jobs. Whatever his story, he could drive me across town to the yoga studio, and that's what matters. Yogi Brahma never came back, but his protege Biff has been able to take over the studio. I'm still looking for a new Reiki practitioner, but at least I can work on balancing those chakras again. I haven't felt this out of sorts since the early 70s, and everyone was out of sorts back then. Nothing feels right, and I need to figure out what has thrown the terror vibrations off so badly. Because Mia said she keeps seeing the same strange beings when she tries to scry, but can't seem to make any sense out of who they might be. However, she started to have dreams about what looks like a campaign poster in the lobby, yet there is only a silhouette where the candidate's picture should be. She doesn't know what that means, but it's getting very annoying to her. She doesn't even believe in voting or the existence of political parties. I just feel so out of sorts. I think I shall go and meditate for a while and try to calm my chi and get some equilibrium. This calls for the Om Good Vibrations Om chant. Some sandalwood and minted candles. I'm so glad Swami Jardine taught me that mantra. It always seems to bring me back to Gaia's roots. I hope we don't hear from this mysterious government entity again. I have enough to be concerned about. Maybe Cosmea will be able to see more soon. If she can't, I might have to go find someone who doesn't have a cataract. In the meantime, my lovelies, remember that truth is whatever makes you happy, and reality is whatever you believe it to be. Namaste.
The mysterious government entity is real, Beatrice. Very real. They've told me that we need to stop the broadcast. There is important work to do. So, until our next broadcast, everyone, stay calm, and calm we shall stay. The Atheist Apocalypse podcast is a Paul Sating LLC production. You can find more information and links to support the show's Patreon campaign at atheistapocalypse.com. We would really appreciate your support in keeping the lights on. Today's episode was written and edited by Paul Sating, Brian Bristol, Jay Crofutt, Deborah Mctagert, and Nick Morgan Moore. It was produced by Brian Bristol. Music and sounds were created and produced by Jason Comeau. And the voice of Venice was Donna Shell. All advertiser memes are the creation of Nancy Drew, our little sister from another mister. Be sure to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Atheist Apocalypse Podcast. And follow us on Twitter at AA Podcast Show. We would like to thank each and every one of you who supports the show to keep it alive and well, which is more than we can say about this post-apocalyptic world that we've created for you.
You need to tell your friends to subscribe and listen.
The reason for the reduction in production isn't because of any cataclysm.